Now we are familiar with higher accreditation bodies, higher education, and the courses offered at IIMTS. So this is a time we should learn how to be a successful academic counselor. What are the steps required? It's always good to have a plan for your visit for counseling. I'm describing you a checklist which you can use as a review before and after each counseling call to make sure you cover all the bases. You can edit this list based on your previous experiences. So to start with the checklist, point number 1, preparation prior to counseling. Always ask yourself, did I research the person, prospect, student prior to the call? Learn something about the person and their business before the meeting. Always send an outline of the meeting to the student before the meeting. Have 3 value-added points prepared. Carry all the material, brochures, contracts, etc. with you. Answer the 3 important pre-call questions. What is the goal of the counseling call? What do I need to find out during the call? What the next step after the call? Second important point of this checklist is greeting and introduction. Always ask yourself, did I observe the prospect's office decoration? Example, trophies, awards, pictures, and so on. Find out about the prospect's personal interest, hobbies, families, and so on. Listen more than speaking. Ideally, you should spend 80% of your time listening and only 20% for speaking. The third important point of the checklist is qualifying. Always ask yourself, did I find out who the decision maker by asking who else beside yourself might be involved in the decision making process? Find out what their time frame is. Find out if funds have been allocated and how much. Find out their specific needs. The fourth important point of this checklist is surveying. Always ask yourself, did I ask open-ended questions? Who, what, where, when, why, how? Ask about the prospect's role in the company, his profile, his work. Ask what important is for him. Ask what is interesting to him and focus on that. Ask how can we help solve their problems. Ask what is our next step. Establish a specific follow-up schedule. Parrot the prospect to encourage him to expand, elaborate, and go into detail about each answer. The fifth important point of this checklist is handling objections. Always ask yourself, did I listen to the entire objection? Pause for 3 seconds before responding. Remain calm and not defensive. Meet the objection with a question in order to find out more. Restate the objection to make sure we agreed. Answer the objection. Complete this process in 6 steps. Number 1, listen to the objections. Number 2, define the solution. Number 3, rephrase the solution. Number 4, isolate the objections from prospect's thoughts. Number 5, present the solution. Number 6, admission closing. Now, the 6th point which is important in this checklist is presentation. You need to ask yourself always, did I prioritize the prospect's needs? Talk about benefits to the prospects. Use layman's term. Link the benefit to the prospect needs. Verify each need before moving on to next. Present yourself, your courses, your company in a positive light. Re-establish a rapport or relation with the prospect candidate. Ask if anything is changed since the last meeting and this meeting. Pre-commit the prospect. Give a general overview of the courses. Keep the presentation focused on student needs. Involve the student in the presentation. Summarize the prospect needs and how your course is going to meet those needs. The 7th important point of this checklist is closing. Always ask yourself, did I get the prospect to identify all possible problems that might be solved buy my course. Get the prospect to identify the value of solving the identified problems. Get agreement that the proposed solution provides the value identified. And then ask for the admission closing. Why don't we go ahead with this, sir? The last important point of this checklist is prospect maintenance. Always ask yourself, did I write thank you letter for appointments or admission done? Did I earn the right to ask for reference letters and referrals? Establish a schedule for follow-up calls and visit. Ask for referrals. Do you know few people who could benefit from my courses like you did? Send thank you notes to lost admissions. Ask what are the 3 important things that we can do to keep our relationship strong. This checklist will help you stay focused. Every time you schedule a counseling call, run through this checklist beforehand to make sure you are prepared, and after the visit to see what you can do next time to make the call run more smoothly and increase your chances of success. Now we will discuss about admission acceptance signs. A good academic counselor is the one who counsels them right out of a counseling session and closes the admission. It's critical to be able to identify the admission acceptance signs so that you don't over-counsel. Admission acceptance signs are communication signals that suggest the prospect is now ready to discuss how it would benefit and work for them. In other words, your prospect is now probably convinced and is ready to discuss the admission formalities with you. Admission acceptance signals usually take on the form of a statement or questions coming from the prospect. These assertions or inquiries bring them one step closer to the comfort zone of making the decision. If you fail to recognize such signs, you run the risk of missing the window of opportunity when a prospect is more receptive to becoming one of your students. If you continue to share information or deliver your presentation to such a prospect who has already communicated admission acceptance signals, that prospect can interpret this as inattention and or superfluity on your part. Either way, an inability to pick up on your prospective signals may cost you the admission. Such signs can show up within the first few minutes of a conversation, or they may not emerge until the end of your meeting. In short, they can show up at any time. It's up to you to on these signals so that you can adjust your pitch accordingly and approach the admission closing when it is most appropriate to do so. Now here is a list of questions that could suggest a prospect interest to learn more or to take admission. Questions like, can you suggest me which course would suit my profession? How quickly can I complete my exams? How long would it take to receive the certificates? How much money do you need to begin my course? Do you offer installments? Do you have tie-up with some other universities? Can I do the course in one sitting or can I do it in stages? Are there any other concession available? What sort of monthly installment can you offer me? How will this work regarding my situation? What type of results would I expect? These are some of the questions which will give you an idea about the interest level of your student, of your prospective student. There are other signs also to judge admission acceptance, such as the body language of a prospect. When it comes to body language differs from country to country, locality to locality. For example, tying up hands and standing like this, in India it is considered as a position of attention. But in Western countries, it is considered as blocking yourself. Anyways, I am giving you a general idea about the body language so that you can have a better understanding while talking to a prospective student. Interpretation. You need to use your instincts and common sense to read them. The customer eyes. Staring can indicate a need for the customer to control you and the meeting. Avoiding eye contact means they are uncomfortable with you or trying to hide something from you. A sparkle or glint means they are having fun, maybe even getting excited about your solution. Glassy eye means bored. Quickly ask them a question, make them capture their attention. Looking up and to the side, recalling something or imagining something, maybe how your solution will make them a hero. Looking sideways means recalling something they heard. Casting their eyes down means they are experiencing an unpleasant emotion. If they are shifting eyes, that means they are evasive, they are lying or looking for a way out. If they are glancing towards the door, that means they want to go out. Glancing towards an object in the room, a brochure, sample, etc., that means they want to talk about it. Now, you have to notice the prospect's hands also. If they are drumming their fingers, means they are impatient. Get them to the point. No illustration, just to the point. If the hands forming a staple with fingertips touching, they are evaluating you. They are evaluating your course, your company, your profile. If they are playing with a pen or pencil or shuffling papers, that means they are concerned, annoyed or confused or wanting to say something. Ask them a question. If they are pointing at you, jabbing the desks with finger, that shows they are angry or frustrated. Show some empathy. If they are holding one hand to the another wrist down, that means they are guarding, they are threatened or very cautious. If they are touching, picking up or caressing your brochures, that means it's a major buying signal. Go for the closing, the admission is done. Now coming to face, you have to notice the facial expression and take a call accordingly. In addition to the usual facial expression indicating interest, doubt, confusion, distaste, delight, filtration, boredom, etc., there are a few specifies you may not be noticing. Lightly rubbing the side of the nose with a finger when talking. That means they are lying or at least not sure of the veracity of what they are telling you. Stroking the chin, reflecting on what you are saying. Arms folded across the chest, that means in a formal meeting, usually it is to protect the information or feelings. Informally, it can be a sign of relaxation also. One hand on the arm of the chair, elbow crooked and weight leaning on it, that means they want to go out. Hands lightly crossed or open, resting on the desk, that means they are interested, they are trusting. If the posture is leaning back, they want a distance from you and your proposal. If they are leaning forward, that means they are interested. If they are bolt, upright, stiff, need for control is there. They are seeking difference from you. So, that was all about the body posture, about your checklist when you're going for academic counseling. Now we will discuss about target students industry wise, where we can find them. Our students, we can find them in the company provided accommodations. Example, Emirates Airline employees are given staff accommodation. You can find them at most of the offices, most of the banks in UAE, most of the hotels in UAE. You can find them in engineering companies, which are mostly found in industrial areas in entire UAE. You can find them in retail outlets, which are available in malls and also at their offices. 4-star and 5-star hotels and hotel apartments are found plenty in UAE. You can approach there and you can find them. Okay, so now the question arises, how to generate prospective leads? Among the most common is the good old-fashioned phone book. This is the simplest way of explaining how to generate leads, because most people have phone books in their homes that provide easy access. If you are offering a good or service that is potentially a good fit for business or non-profit organization, then take to the yellow pages and start making some calls. You may be surprised how easily you can get to the decision maker within an organization and qualify the lead very quickly. Once you have exhausted the local phone book, fan out to other cities to generate leads. Chances are that there are already phone books for other cities in your office. If not, identify a market you want to work and order the phone book for that area. Phone books are not expensive and you will make up a small charge within the first admission you are making. Second, word of mouth is also a valuable way to generate leads. Never be afraid to ask a satisfied student if he or she knows of someone who would be interested in what you have to offer. Along with the first question, also ask for permission to mention your current student's name. Often, being able to drop a name will open doors for you that otherwise would remain closed. One of your best resources in expanding your client base will always be a student who knows and believes in you. Then, you can try networking locally. Often, you will find friends and family members who are more than willing to exchange your leads with you and can be assured that many will be qualified leads. This can help you build up your client base locally. Also, when networking in local places of worship, chances are its member will begin to contact you about what you are offering to them. With the advent of internet, you can often find all sort of prospective leads by visiting the online membership list of various professional organizations. For instance, just about every ladies association website will contain a listing of member attorney firms. If your service or your course is something that would be of interest to the legal industry, you can contact not only the association itself but also to every member of that association. You will find similar situations of leads online within just about every professional association that has a web presence. In addition to professional associations, follow a similar course with any chamber of commerce that has a website. You may find some new students with relatively little effort that way. Now, I will give you an brief idea about expats in UAE. UAE and Middle East is full of expatriates. Majority of the UAE expats are Indians and South Asian nationals such as Pakistanis, Sri Lankans and Bangladeshi. There are many Philippine nationals also, which can be seen over here. Majority of the Europeans are from UK, US, Canadians, South African and Australian. So, if you ask me whether you should live in UAE as an expat, my answer is yes, it is a great place to live and earn tax-free income. A typical working day in UAE starts with a jogging session or a visit to the gym. Then they go to work. Most of the UAE expatriates have their own vehicles. It is very easy to buy a vehicle in UAE. Anyone can apply for a vehicle loan. Interest is next to nothing. UAE is not a very big country. However, traffic can be an issue if you stay far from the working place. It is wise to select your accommodation closer to the working place. Some expats prefer to go to the gym or for a jogging in the evening. Some will spend the evening hanging around in a shopping mall or a nightclub. Restaurants in UAE deliver food free of charge. Most of the UAE expatriates do not cook. They order food or simply walk to the restaurant. Restaurant can be found within walking distance in most of the areas. Communication. Local calls are very cheap in UAE. And last, talking about weekends, Friday is the weekend in UAE. So that is a brief about your marketing skills for being a successful academic counselor. Thank you.